Welcome back to the Hustle Unfiltered podcast hosted by Kayla Serta and Jackson Mansudi,
where we dive into raw, unfiltered conversations about training, health, and fitness while navigating the challenges of life and business in our 20s. So we have a bunch of questions ready to go. Mm-hmm. They're going to vary from training to business to relationships and just overall growth. Mm-hmm. And you don't know what the questions are. We're both going to answer them. We're going to start off nice and easy. But before we do, how's prep going?
Prep's great. I'm 2 weeks in. Officially, 10 days in.
Any lessons learned, challenges so far?
It's honestly been like normal life. I haven't really seen a massive change. Obviously, the only difference or challenge in which I spoke about on my broadcast channel as well, when I do a little bit of a recap, is just navigating a social setting, not actually getting involved in the food and drink aspect of it whatsoever. And just, not that I felt like I was missing out, but I was just would be nice.
Yeah. So what are the, I guess, thoughts that come into your head when you're in those situations?
I guess, I went into it knowing the expectation. I was I'm going into this, I made sure I ate before I went in. I literally brought my water bottle with me to the event. I did all the things. I think it's just more having other people around that probably don't fully understand. And it's the questions, and that's fine. I'm happy to answer the question, but it's just it does make it a little bit challenging because I'm is what I'm doing making sense? Or is what I'm saying making sense sometimes? But it is what it is. I don't think there's anything bad or wrong about it. It's just, I think where a lot of people can kind of get caught up in it is letting the pressure of maybe other people not fully understanding dictate whether they choose to follow through with their expectation on themselves or not.
Yeah, being alienated for being different.
Yeah, or not being able to hold their ground and stand what feels right for them because of what other people either might say or what they might potentially think. So I think just having those conversations with yourself beforehand. And I knew it. I was I'm coming in with my fucking water bottle. It is what it is.
Yeah, I think one of the things that I learned in my prep was just learning to have the tunnel vision. And then, if I guess we're used to it as well because we've felt alienated in our lives multiple times through our choice of business, through the pursuits that we have anyway. So I guess it's we're kind of prepared for that.
Yeah. And I think as well, obviously when you spend time not dieting, that's where you have the time to do that anyway. Yeah. I haven't said no to anything. Up until this point now, I'm just okay, nothing's getting in the way.
Yeah, you just know what the goal is.
And I think that's what's really important before going into any sort of phase. Even just thinking off the back, it's if you're struggling in a fat loss phase or you feel you don't know how to have that sort of willpower, it's you've probably been telling yourself this entire time for the last 2 years that you can't do certain things. And then you still do it anyway. So it's you can't really, you find it harder to have that on and off switch there for some goals because you've been trying to chase a million different things at once.
Yeah, I think also one of the things that's really important that you adopt very well is the language you use when people ask you things around it. It's just I find, at least with a lot of people that we train, not all the time, but especially in the initial stages, they'll get asked, oh, do you want this or have some of this? And they're oh, no, I shouldn't.
Yeah.
It's you're leaving the door open there for that. It's no, you shouldn't, but you could.
Yeah.
It's just say, I'm not hungry, or just say, I don't feel like it, or no, thank you. Yeah. It's just that language that you use will dictate the outcome of how, because people are going to say things no matter what. They're always going to have an opinion. They're always going to try and say, oh, it's healthy, when in reality, we know that it's not about being fucking healthy.
Yeah, it's not about that. I think another thing, this is something I learned when I did the first photo shoot and I chose not to drink the whole time. I would, instead of saying I'm not drinking now, it's just I just don't drink.
Yeah.
Because you can't, what's there to question when you say I don't drink?
Yeah, I mean, it's for myself, for anyone that doesn't know, I've decided this whole year not to have any alcohol. And it's I've just categorized myself as someone who's not a drinker. Because when people offer me, it's I don't need to explain that, oh, I'm doing a year of sober.
Yeah.
It's no, I don't drink.
Yeah.
And they're oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, that's it. It's end of conversation. If they choose to ask questions, I'm more than happy to obviously entertain that. But it just comes down to you're putting the length. It's almost like when you when you're breaking up with someone, it's like, oh, it's just not a good time right now. It's like you're leaving the door open and you're beating around the fucking bush. Just
Yeah.
say, listen, I don't like you as much as I thought I did.
Yeah. Just say it straight.
It's like, as much as hurtful as they might be, it's like, don't leave the door open. And it's the same with those conversations.
Yeah. So I'd say that's probably like an only challenge that I've really faced, but it's not really nothing I can't handle. And it's just like, cool, next time I know I'm going to be better prepared with another meal. That would probably be that's the only thing I'm like, I could have done better in that situation is have a meal for later. Because
Yeah.
I got to a point where I was like, I was really fucking hungry.
Yeah, delaying those meals, especially when you're hungry, is becomes difficult. The willpower needs to be strong.
Yeah, there was a cobbler walking around. I was like, oh, not that I was going to have any, but I'm like, that looks fucking bad.
I think this segues into the first question, and we'll keep it nice and easy for you. But what's something you used to believe about progress that completely changed once you actually achieved the result of either building muscle or getting leaner?
What did I used to believe about? Yeah. I feel like progress was getting small.
Yeah, okay.
Like a big chunk of my journey, I was the one of like, I just need to be leaner. I just need to lose more fat. I just need to be skinnier. I just need to be smaller. And I thought that was progress, when in reality, it's like progress is so much more than just either a number on the scale or how tiny I feel. It's like how much stronger I've gotten, how much better my relationship with food has gotten, how much more muscle I have built, how much more confident I feel myself. No matter what phase of the journey it's been, like, I think when I started to realize that progress is more than just like a number on a scale or how much fat I have in my body, that's actually allowed me to see more progress, and I feel like has allowed me to stay the course a lot longer until then.
I like that. I think for me, it's the idea that I would be satisfied once I achieve it.
Yeah.
Like, I'm not saying that I'm not happy with how I look or I haven't been very proud of what I've achieved when I've gotten there. It's just more so it's like the goalpost is always going to move and you're always going to want more.
Proud but never satisfied.
Exactly. And
C.G. Guzman.
and I think it's like people need to understand that, because you need to be able to, one, identify the effort and the goal and achieving it and say, well done. But it's also like you also need to understand that it's you're always going to want more.
Yeah. And that's not a bad thing.
No, it's not. It's like financial goals. It's like if you say you want to earn, $2,000 a week, $3,000 a week, or, the glorious 100K a year in the corporate world, that's like, you've made it sort of type number. It's like you're going to want more because you're going to adjust your lifestyle to that amount of money. And it's the same with your physique and your goals. You're going to adjust your lifestyle to that. This is now your standard and you won't accept anything less than that. And I know for any guys listening, like, that you always want to be bigger, you always want to be leaner, and you always want to be both at the same time. So I think for me, it was like really coming to terms with that and being like, oh, I'm always going to want more. But it's also like I needed to understand that where I'm at now is also okay.
Yeah.
Anything
like
else
that.
you'd add to that?
No, I feel like I can definitely resonate with that a lot.
What's a training phase or moment you were proud of, but no one clapped for?
That's a good one.
It's a fucking good one, eh? I'm very happy with these questions.
Like, not even you clapped for me.
I'll always clap for you.
I know. Oh.
I guess like for me, what comes to mind is like a build, because like no one really validates that quite a bit. But I think in my experience, moments that have been really, I think for me it was like not even doing the bodybuilding show, but deciding to do the bodybuilding show.
Yeah.
So like actually making the decision of setting a date, like no one was like, oh, like, well done for deciding to do it. Like, that was a personal thing for me. And I think the reason that being so something I was proud of is because I never thought, at least in my experiences, like I thought, fuck, like I'm not good enough to do that. Because I knew what it was going to take. I knew the level of commitment that went into it, and I never thought I was going to be able to be the person to be able to do that. And when I did decide to say, hey, this is the date I'm doing, it was a big deal for me.
Yeah. I like that. That's cool.
Anything for yourself?
I feel like when I decided to probably start coaching with Cameron, because I went from having no coach to getting a face-to-face coach, and that was like a pretty shitty time in my life as well. And like I made that decision on my own because I'm like, I don't fucking like what's happening. This needs to change. And that was no one else's input but mine. And I went out of my way to be like, hey, Cameron, can you coach me, please? Like, need some help. So I'd say I feel like that because even at the time I didn't really feel supported in the relationship I was in to make that decision.
Yeah.
So that was I'd say that maybe that one because that's been a catalyst for a lot of the growth I've seen now.
Yeah. 100%.
All the growth I've seen now, basically.
Yeah, I think, those are the big moments because it's the start of what was to come.
Yeah.
We're gonna get deeper and deeper as these go along.
Okay,
So
am I gonna fucking cry?
maybe. Who knows?
No.
What's something you gave up in order to build your business that you still grieve or wrestle with? Deathly silence.
Look, I don't know if this is the right answer for this, but I feel like something I've given up is, I guess, the level of stability I thought I would have with it. Because up until the point of having the business, like I worked at the airport, I was a shift worker, I made decent money. Like I went to work for 4 hours, went home, did whatever the fuck I wanted. So I guess in a way I gave up that side of stability and freedom that still sometimes to this day I'm like, fuck, like imagine I just had a job and like I didn't have to think about all the problems and the things and all that sort of stuff. So I guess there's still sometimes that, but at the same time, like the purpose and the mission behind why I'm doing it is still far greater, but it definitely comes up sometimes where I'm like, Kayla was slaying also at that time too.
Yeah, it's a difficult one. I mean, look, I will add to that. I wouldn't say that's the exact one for me, but I think the giving up the stability aspect of a job where you get paid a salary no matter how much work you do, that is definitely something that I do wrestle with a lot as well. But for me, I think the biggest thing that I still sort of wrestle with in terms of that I've given up is just like a lot of social time.
Yeah.
Like I put my business before a lot of things, as well as I think privacy. Like everyone who follows me knows my life.
Yeah.
And I think that's something that sometimes I just wish like I didn't have to post it.
Yeah.
Or like I didn't have to let everyone know like how much I fucking weigh, or, you know, like let everyone know like you and I go on a dinner because we actually fucking go out, or
because we leave the house.
Yeah, like showing my lifestyle all the time, or having to prove my knowledge to people. To, you know, I think that's something that I've had to give up, is just like and again, it's a choice. Like I know I've consciously made this choice, but I think sometimes I'm just like, fuck, man, I would love to not have to post every single day about my life. And to this day, I find it wild. Like when people come up to me and they're like, oh, how was this? And it's like, how the fuck do you know that? And it's like, oh, I posted it.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's a weird one, because even when I look at people like Christian Guzman, that bloke has no idea who the fuck I am.
Yeah, but you know everything about
I know
him.
everything about him. And I think, you know, not that I'm a fucking celebrity, but like when you see celebrities get wigged out by all these random people knowing about them and taking photos of them, I can kind of understand that to a very, very minuscule degree.
Yeah.
Because it's like, well, sometimes I'll be on the street and I'll see a guy that I do know personally, but they'll know more about my life than I know about them.
Yeah.
And to me, that weeds me out sometimes.
Yeah, no, I feel like it's one of those things where if you think about it a lot, you're like, oh, this is kind of odd. Like, this is so bizarre.
Look, if someone wanted to murder me, it would not be hard. I go to 3 places and they know it's not a secret as to where they are.
Yeah. I don't like you say that.
No, but like, yeah, I think it's sometimes it's very difficult to have to. I mean, like yesterday, like me
Yeah.
filming that reel. It's like, for anyone that doesn't know, I filmed this reel that I'll post next week. But it's like I just filmed like what a rest day looks like, but to the degree where I tried to make it very cinematic and very like vibey and
Yeah.
moody.
The content was contenting. It was
Yeah,
good.
yeah, and it was cool. It came out great, but like I had to film myself get out of bed, which is like in my head, I'm like, this is fucking cringe. I had to film myself brushing my teeth, and I'm like, fuck, man, people have to do this on a daily. If you're an influencer, it's like people have to do that so much.
Yeah.
But it's just part of the game, right?
Yeah, I agree.
All right, moving on. We're gonna stick with some of the business stuff for a bit. What's a moment where you questioned if you were cut out for this, and what pulled you out of it? Fuck, this is like something.
Can I say, like, this
Every
happens
day?
once a week? Like, the biggest one that comes to mind, I'd say recently, I'd say probably like a month into being fully online, where I was just like, is this what I'm supposed to be doing? Did I make the right decision? Have I fucked up the business? Have I lost the purpose behind what I'm doing? I'd say like that's probably been the most recent one in the last few months. Just more so just like it's one of those things because you're in business alone. Like, yes, obviously we work together running our own separate businesses. We both have mentors that we can also like speak to and chat to and fall back on, but at the same time, like this is like fully up to you. Like,
Well, you're the one in it day to day. You're
Yeah,
the
like-
one dealing with the problems, putting out the fires. Like,
yeah,
as much as the mentors are there to say, it's okay, keep going, they're not living your life.
yeah. Like there's been more tears, I'd say, in the last 6 months than in a very long time.
Yeah,
over
I would
business.
I would agree. I think for me, I think Bali was mentally
Yeah.
a really difficult time
Mm.
for business because I just went online. It was my first 4 weeks literally going online, and I just decided to pick up and go to Bali for a month.
Well, no, we decided to go to Bali for a month and then you decided to go online while we were in
yeah. Well, look, like it all was timely with
Yeah.
the gym closing and whatnot as well. So yeah, I think for me that was really tough because I'm like, have I stretched myself too thin here to
Yeah.
a point where it's like, you know, it's like if anyone that would know when you first go online, it's like your face-to-face clients go online with you because they like you and they want to support you, but it's probably not for them. And then they start dropping off, and then you have to actually go into work mode to actually find the new clientels who are going to resonate with the new messaging and the business that you're actually trying to create.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was really tough because it's like you're just seeing your income go down, your work output go up, your stress go up, and you're trying to really work your ass off. And for me, that was really, really tough. And what pulled me out of it was honestly just like having the support system of yourself, my mentors, to say it's going to be fucking okay.
Yeah.
And it has been. And it's still tough. It's still hard.
Yeah.
But like, yeah, I think that initial plunge for anyone who's thinking of taking some sort of plunge in their business, whether it be, you know, going full freelance or, you know, trying to land a deal or whatever it is, it's like those moments are the scariest
Mm.
because, yeah, you're in it alone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
All right. We move. What's a lie about success you bought into that nearly derailed you?
That I was going to get it all in like the first 5 minutes of being a business owner. I don't know. Like, I think when I first started PT, like obviously ran PT first, like I wasn't online or anything. But I think I believed the dream that I would need to work face-to-face for 6 months and I'd have a flourishing online business at the end of it. I'd have leads coming in left, right, and center, and then that would be me. And it does work for some people and like slay for them. But that was not the case for me. And I think that was also like at the time, that was what I had hoped or what I thought and what I believed would happen. Life was also not lifing at the time. So it was just like a snowball effect of like, what's the even point of this? Like, I'm never going to be successful. Like, is this what's happening? So I feel like that's probably like the biggest one. And I think that's not a bad thing because it does show you what's actually possible. And I think what's helped me come out of that then and where I'm at now, it's like, okay, you know, it's going to take more time, but like just because it's going to take time doesn't mean it can't happen. And just not putting such a strict timeline on it. And that's still something I battle, being like, I should be here.
Would
but I'm
you
not
say
there.
a contribution to that has been social media?
Yeah. Because I saw people all of a sudden become all these things. I'm like, well, fuck. What's going to happen? But at the same time, I think that's one thing, but also having the support of a mentor or a coach or something like that that can kind of pull you back into reality and be like, hey, like you need to fucking put in the work. It's the same thing like having a coach.
Yeah, I think we can, the same way our clients and the people we speak to on a daily basis will compare their physiques to others.
Yeah.
The same way that they're comparing to the 1%ers, we're comparing to the 1%ers as well. Like the people that we know of that are our age, that are as successful as they are very much, I don't want to say they're lucky, but they definitely just, walked into the right doors.
Yeah.
And not to say that we haven't, but it's like from what I've learned most recently, the people who I know are the most successful are the ones who've been doing it for 10 years.
Yeah.
Like if I was to mention names, Sebastian Arab.
Yeah.
10 years in the game plus. Jason, 10 years plus in the game. Josh, 10 years in the game. Even Didge probably.
Yeah, close to it.
Yeah, so it's like these people that we're comparing ourselves to who are, 3-4 years into coaching or business and they're like flourishing. It's like, yeah, they probably just like were in the right places at the right time, knew the right people, just happened to work at the right gym, whatever it might be, met the right people. But everyone else, I think, have had to put those hard yards in of 10 years of work to really see their business flourish and succeed as the way it has.
Yeah.
I think for me to answer that question, and it's not even about it's not that I've learned it, it's that I'm learning it. It's that like more hard work is not the answer to success. It's a very difficult one, and obviously we have this conversation so much, like probably more than any other conversation as of recent. But it's like more hard work is not going to get you there the same way more gym sessions in a week is not going to get you the physique you want.
Yeah.
And that's a very hard reality to accept.
Yeah.
Because I think all we know, especially with initial phases in our business, is hard work.
Yeah. It's funny because, like, obviously we've spoken about this a lot lately, but even, like, what I'm trying to internalize and think about, like, you did this with your gym journey. Look at where you are now. You did this in the gym. Look where you are now. And, like, trying to – because there is so much correlation between building a physique and building a business is actually fucking insane. But I think similar to being in the fitness realm, it's like – the first 2, 3, 4 years of being in your gym journey, it's like you can do all the extra stuff and like still see some of a result because you're still a beginner, you're still learning, you're still finding the ropes. But it's like you get to a point where you become more intermediate. You do have a base level of strength. You maybe have done a fat loss phase. You haven't maybe done building enough muscle, whatever it may be. And it's like what got you there is now not going to get you to that next level.
Yeah, I think a great example of that as well is like when you start out, you're not strong, right? You got to do more sets, more volume, because you don't have the work capacity to do less sets and still grow.
And we were doing like 5 sets at the start, and here I am doing like 2, and I'm like, I'm fucked.
Yeah, and I think business is the same. It's like you have to do 5 sets you have to do the reps of learning how to make 10 pieces of content in a week, or send out 100 emails, whatever the fuck it might be. And then it's like you get to a point where it's like doing that is not better because the quality of work that you can do in half of that is going to be better than your ability to do double that.
Yeah.
Your recovery capacity won't necessarily be the same.
Yeah.
And it's the same with training.
Yeah.
All right. I don't know if this one's actually changed, but it's an interesting question nonetheless. How do you actually measure success now, and has it changed from when you started?
I feel like the intention has shifted more.
Elaborate.
I feel like at the start, to be fair, I didn't really know what success probably looked like at the start. I just thought it was like probably more I guess like the surface level things of like, you have lots of clients, you have some sort of following on social media,
You're busy.
you know, like you just have a business. Like I think that was kind of my idea of success was just like you have a business and that's your livelihood. Because at the start and up until technically I worked at Pato, I was still either working another job or like finding income from other places. So I think I was working my job and then also doing like face-to-face on the side. So there was always two sorts of income coming in. So I think for me, initially maybe business and having it on my own and being fully in the business and like that's all was probably more my idea of success. And I guess that has changed now where I guess my idea of success, like, I still want to make enough money. Like there's definitely a financial element to it that I want to make enough to have a level of freedom in my life where I'm not worrying about, am I going to have enough for this or, can I help my family out with money if I want to, like not let that be a question. So I'd say like that is part of the success, but also just the level of impact I can make where it's like, if I can impact people all over the world to some degree, if I can, host events and people show up and coach more people and educate and, expand my purpose beyond just where we live and whatnot, I'd say that also is now where I'm defining the success as well.
Yeah. I think the impact one is probably one that we both align with because like to answer the question as well, I think for me it was very similar to you have a business. I think the following was a big one. Because like I'd look at people like James Smith and I'd be like, okay, if I want to be that, like I need the following. Where now I give less fucks about the following and I give more fucks about who I'm helping, whether I feel good doing it and whether it's making me money. And this is another thing, like I think I used to be really scared to talk about my financial goals out loud as a business owner because it sounds icky. It sounds like, like, why do you want to make... It's like, because I want to live a lifestyle that allows me to not have to worry and be in stress and do all those sort of things, which I think everyone listening to this probably feels the same way.
I feel like whether you want to admit it or not, you want this.
We are all financially motivated.
Yeah.
But then, yes, I think the impact of that, I think how I'm earning that money matters more now than what it used to.
Yeah.
So it's like for me, if I can really connect with my audience, with my clients, and, whenever I get a message from a client that says, thank you so much that you've helped me do X, Y, and Z, not even just from a physique standard, but from a life standard, that shit gets me out of bed in the morning. That's how I measure the success of my business, provided that also directly correlates with my ability to earn financial freedom.
Yeah.
Well, that was a good answer.
That's a slay.
Okay, we're going to get a little bit deeper. Have you ever stayed in a relationship because it was easier than being alone while chasing your goals?
Yeah.
Care to elaborate?
I feel like it wasn't really for the goal, but I've definitely just stayed in a relationship because I thought that was all that I was able to have. And like that was just the extent of it. And it's like, I'm going to keep trying to chase this goal, but I also kind of knew that like if I was choosing comfort in that relationship at the cost of losing a goal that I had dreamt of achieving. And that was like, I almost didn't stay at PT because of how shit all the other things were. I almost let that take over my goal of being a successful PT business owner. Even at the time I had the idea of competing as well. Not for the right reasons, but I also let that time in that relationship dictate whether or not I did certain things. because that was more comfortable than the idea of being alone but still achieving all this other stuff.
Yeah, yeah. I think for me, I don't think I've stayed in a relationship, but I've definitely prolonged relationships because the fear of being alone or hurting the other person was something that I was afraid of.
Mm-hmm.
I think in the past, I think we've obviously spoken about this in our relationship, but like the second I get close with someone in the past, it's a very difficult thing for me to stay close because
Mm-hmm.
I have just always been a very detached type of person.
Mm-hmm.
So I think in my experience, like it's very much not, yeah, I've definitely prolonged relationships for longer than they should have been just because I was too afraid to admit how I felt.
Mm.
Which in return has probably stopped me from achieving certain things because those relationships then got negative and it took up a lot of time, space, and energy.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to stay on the theme of relationships. What part of yourself do you hide in relationships, romantic or otherwise, or have hidden?
Do you think I hide anything from you?
Everything. You don't tell me anything.
I am a shell of a human. Nah. I feel like I do downplay what I do when I don't know someone. Like, I think I don't really express maybe the success I do have and, or the knowledge I do have. I kind of let the other people do the speaking and I'll just sit and just. And I think that's great to be able to listen. But also I think there is a level of fear of like, what if I don't know enough? What if this isn't the right word? What if I don't say the right thing? So it's like, it's a lot of toying with the idea of, okay, am I listening because I need to listen to these people, or is it I'm not speaking because I don't want to be judged?
Would you say it's vulnerability?
Yeah. There is a level of vulnerability that I definitely do struggle to show, even with social media. Like, that's also another big thing that I do speak about with my mentor is like my ability to open up about things because I don't see it as like valuable, I guess. But at the same time, I know that it is, and that's something I am actively working on being better at showing.
Do you think I hide anything?
You hide it.
I think for me, because I don't know why this just came to my head, but like if you remember when you're like, oh, you're actually kind of a simp.
Oh, yeah. He's actually a really big simp. He is the biggest simp ever.
But yeah, I think for me, it's like I refrained from being my true self very early on, whether it's in relationships romantically or like friendships, because I'm afraid of very much whether or not people like that or not.
Yeah.
Because me at the core is a softie who's slightly outspoken, very opinionated, and silly.
Yeah.
But like, I think for me, I mean, it's like what you said. Like, I came across, I don't know, would you say extremely confident?
I'd say confident. Cocky.
Cocky, fuckboy.
Yeah, like that. Those are all the words I would say.
Yeah, very hard exterior.
Yeah, just like not very affectionate.
Yeah.
Like I couldn't see you being that affectionate.
Yeah.
And then you got really simpy and like nags and affectionate.
Yeah, and I think for me, that's probably a part of me that I hide a lot is just like my vulnerability as well, because it's like, well, what if people don't like that? What if, and yeah, I do notice it as well. Like, with the whole thing of like, if I meet someone who through social media and then like I meet them in person, like I definitely give off, it's not like I'm a fuckboy to them because it's usually a guy. And I wouldn't to a girl anyway. But it's very much that confident, hard exterior. And then once they get to know me, it's like, oh, like I actually see the world like this. Which is why the podcast is pretty good sometimes because it's in the comfort of our own place and I feel comfortable to speak and be vulnerable. Yeah. But I think for me that's definitely something that I've hidden in the past, working on. What's a version of you that had to die in order for this current version to exist? Oh, I got a good one for this one, but you go.
The girl that was almost going to go back to the airport, stop doing coaching, almost just completely gave up on all her dreams. She had to die. She died the second I moved back home with my mum. And I pursued a goal to do a photo shoot.
Yeah. Okay. What were the traits of that girl?
The last girl,
Yeah.
very like flaky, like didn't really follow through with a lot of things. What else? Took the easy route. Said she had discipline. She didn't have discipline. But like just very poor me. Like played the victim in every situation and just didn't take any responsibility for the fact that the position she was in was entirely her responsibility. And I think the difference between myself now and then is like, if I would have said that, like if I was standing in front of her and I said that to her, she probably would have crumbled, like absolutely fell to the floor, like someone's killing her sort of vibe. Whereas now someone's like, you're in this position because of you. It's like, yeah, you're right. Okay. What am I going to do about it? Whereas then it's just like, well, fuck, like my life is over. My life is crumbling. Like this is just what I have to accept.
Yeah.
And she had to die.
The version of me that had to die. Oh, this is speaking of vulnerability. This is a very vulnerable position to be in. But the version of me that had to die was the guy who ran away from all of his problems. Was the guy who never wanted to have hard conversations, whether it be in relationships, in business, or whatever it might be. And the guy who would essentially just use the weekend as a way to disconnect, whether it be through alcohol, recreational drugs. Like that was probably a good, I'd say from like 21 or 20 to about, or maybe even 19 to 21. That was probably my life for 3 years. I treat people like shit, wouldn't let anyone get close, like sabotage all my relationships, would not take responsibility for anything. And that version, through lots of therapy, had to die to essentially be able to like have this, even just this relationship. Like how many times do I tell you that if it wasn't for the things that the work I've done, we would not be here.
Yeah.
And I think if it wasn't for some of the dark days of, you know, waking up on the Sunday or having the terrible Tuesdays, of really having a hard look in the mirror and being like, bro, what the fuck are you doing? I wouldn't be here. I wouldn't say I was like, my life was bad or hard or anything. I just made poor choices.
Yeah.
And I just think, you know, my upbringing was not bad at all, but it was not, I wasn't told no enough. Like I didn't have a lot of situations in my life where people were like, you need to take responsibility. And I think that's sort of what led me to that as well. So if that didn't die, then I wouldn't have been able to run this business, have this relationship, and build what we built together.
Slay.
Really connecting with the audience today. Both of us.
Fucking hearing all that deep dark secrets.
Yeah. What's been your most humbling moment in love or friendship? I feel like that's
humbling moment.
Quite a broad question. I guess humbling as in like, how do we want to interpret that?
Like,
not put in your place humbling, more like, I guess like enlightening, humbling, like.
Maybe, like, I don't know if this is, again, the right way to interpret this question, but I think having our relationship being able to see and be in a relationship where I do get to be treated the way I deserve to. Where it's like, this love is actually possible.
Little bit of exposure here, but please give us an example.
I don't know. I think just like knowing that, like, you know, I get to be treated with respect. Like that's not a...
Yeah, here's a better question. When did you sort of realize that? Was there a moment? Was there a time?
I can't like pinpoint an exact moment, but it was definitely like the early
Every
stages.
day.
Yeah. The early stages of our relationship, just like the little things, like whether it be like you pick me up or, you know, you go out of your way to make sure I feel comfortable in a situation or asking how I am and not just like the passing, how are you? It's like general care for me and like, yeah, just things like that. which sounds like it's humbling because it's just like that's something that should be a standard across the board, but the reality is it's fucking not. And I think knowing that I've been able to get the relationship I've really always dreamt of,
Yeah.
it's pretty fucking cool.
I'm glad I can be part of that. I think for me, a very humbling moment in our relationship has probably been, I mean, look, there's been a lot, but probably like you supporting me through my bodybuilding prep. Like, I know this sounds very surface level of like, oh, she supported you through a diet, but it's like the unwavering support I had of you being at every single show, telling me you're proud of me, and, you know, just showing up in those moments meant a lot to me. So I think that was very humbling.
I was Kris Jenner for you. I was your Kris Jenner.
How do you handle being the person people look up to when you don't have it all together?
I'm not going to lie, I kind of forget that people do look up to me.
Me too.
Because I'm like, I'm just a girl.
Yeah.
I'm just a girl trying to like get people jacked and strong and hot, and I'm trying to do the same too. No, I feel like as of late, like I've definitely received a lot of really
Well, through the podcast as well, right?
the podcast and even like posting on YouTube and just in general, like if I message like a new follower or just even like conversations in the DMs, just like why do you follow? Like what's kind of brought you to my page, and hearing what a lot of people say, whether they, you know, appreciate my messaging in the sense like, you know, you don't kind of beat around the bush, like you're very no bullshit and like you say it how it is, or, you know, what you do and it's inspirational, like you've inspired me to do this, just things like that. I'm like, oh shit, like it's not just me. And I think one thing I'm really learning to be better at, and to not always make it about me in a sense of like, you know, you're having a shit day, like, oh, the world's crumbling. It's like, well, no, because you probably have a shit day, but you've also probably inspired 2 people just by posting on your fucking stories, like little things like that. And I think, yeah, as of late, I've definitely received more of those messages, and even from some of my clients, just it's been very like, oh fuck, like I really am. What I do is very inspiring, which is it's cool, and it definitely fucking touches the heart a little bit.
Scratches the itch.
Yeah.
I think for me, it's interesting because like I always say that I'm just trying to be the person that I needed 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think for me, it's just like I need to lead by example. So in terms of handling that, I think it comes with a little bit of pressure because I know, especially for me who mainly trains guys, like the ego that comes with
Yeah.
people taking advice from someone like myself. I think as well, like a lot of these guys, because like this is the thing, right? I probably may have not have listened to me 5 years ago.
Yeah.
And I think in terms of handling that, I just need to show up and lead by example and show that the life I have and show what I went through to get here has not been easy. And I think in terms of handling that, it's just more so I just need to be me and be living proof of what can be done if you just show up and stay true to who you are.
Mm.
All right. We've got a big question. Last one. This has been fun. I've liked this.
These are good questions. I like them.
If you could speak to yourself 5 years ago, what's something that you'd say that would hurt but help?
Yeah, it was like 5 years.
What's 5 years ago? What are we in 2020?
That was lockdown.
Yeah. Lockdown 5 years ago. So what, we're in 2025. Fuck me.
Mm.
So
What
2020.
was the question again? What would I say to her?
What would you say to yourself 5 years ago that would hurt but help?
Mm. I would say remove yourself from the relationship and get comfortable with being alone. Because I think at that time I was so like I felt like I needed to be around people. Like I think that's when I started PE like starting to be a PT. But I was also like getting caught up in like drinking and partying and staying in relationships and all these sorts of things, when in reality I just need some time to be fucking alone. Like the last time I was alone, I was 13 years old.
Yeah. Well.
So I think I just, if I could go back, be like, just get out of the relationships because none of them are serving you. Spend some time alone and get fucking comfortable with being alone and put your fucking head down and work.
I like it. For me, I think the thing that I would have to tell myself would be that you need to take some fucking responsibility in your life. If you keep going the way you're going, you're not going to end up anywhere, and your biggest fears will come true. Yeah, I think I never, as I said, no one really told me truth, and I have to sort of learn that on my own. But I think it was just more so like the same as you. I just started PTing. I was partying every weekend still. I was still doing a lot of the silly things that I was doing up until that point. I literally was just like, if I keep going, I won't be where I want to be. Because if I have these goals, but I keep doing the things that got me here, I'm not going to get there.
Yeah.
That was fun.
Cool. I like those questions. That
Me
was a
too.
good question. Good job.
All right, guys. We'll see you in the next episode. Hopefully you found that episode very insightful and a little bit more learning about us, because I think that's always useful. But yeah, we'll see you guys in the next episode.
Bye.